Hello and welcome to week 2 of the Lifestyle Medicine Master Series. This week's topic is Flourish with Positive Psychology. My name is Christy Barron. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and one of the behavioral science faculty at North Colorado Family Medicine in Greeley, Colorado. Thanks for joining me. Today we have 3 main learning objectives. First, how do we define happiness? What does it mean to be happy? Second, what is positive psychology? And third, how do we apply the principles of positive psychology in order to live our best lives? So I did a quick Google search to try to figure out what is happiness, try to find a definition. According to just Google search, happiness is defined as the state of being happy. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it's a state of well-being and contentment or joy. According to verywellmind.com, it's an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. According to vocabulary.com, happiness is that feeling that comes over you when you know life is good and you can't help but smile. It's the opposite of sadness. And finally, according to Psychology Today, the definition of happiness is more than simply positive mood. It's a state of well-being that encompasses living a good life, one with a sense of meaning and deep contentment. Throughout history, many people have been trying to figure out what does it mean to be happy and how do we get there? Starting with Buddha, Buddha found that happiness is achieved by detaching from all the passions, needs, and wants in your life. Socrates found that happiness is directive rather than additive. It depends not on external goods, but how we use these external goods, whether wisely or unwisely. Aristotle found that happiness is the meaning and purpose of life. It's the whole aim and end of human existence. Thomas Aquinas found that true happiness can only be found in the knowledge of God. John Locke, who actually coined the phrase, the pursuit of happiness, thought that happiness was synonymous with pleasure, and on the other hand, unhappiness was synonymous with pain. William James felt that happiness depends on choices that we as humans are able to make on our own. So happiness is a choice. And finally, Martin Seligman has and continues to do lots of research about what happiness means. And he's determined to be the father of positive psychology. Dr. Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, had been working in the field for a long time, and he determined that traditional psychology had many pitfalls. First, it just focused on pathology, what was wrong with people. He felt it was highly deterministic. Basically, if you had a certain diagnosis, that was pretty much the end-all be-all. Also, it focused on fixing what was broken. He was concerned that the whole basis of the DSM, otherwise known as the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Disorders, it's kind of what we term as the Bible of mental health. Everything in there is called a disorder, so it just inherently focuses on the negative. And he felt that traditional psychology did not address building and nurturing strengths in people. It only focused on what was wrong. So overall, he wanted to focus on strengths as well as weaknesses and on building the best things in life as well as repairing the worst. He wanted to know more. So as a result, like most psychologists, he conducted many studies and experiments. Dr. Seligman and his colleagues wanted to not only help cure the ill, but to make the well happier and better. So they came up with a term, positive psychology, and that's defined as the scientific study of the strengths that enable individuals and communities to thrive. Seligman and his colleagues determined that being happy involves much more than just having good things happen to us. Seligman and his colleagues conducted many interviews and research studies over the years and found that these 3 pillars or key ingredients are important, all equally important, to achieving true happiness. The first is pleasure and gratification. This is known as the pleasant life. And just as it sounds, this is about having as many pleasures as possible in life, as well as having the skills to amplify these pleasures. Next, the embodiment of strengths and virtues. This is called the good life. This is about recrafting your work, love, friendships, leisure, and parenting to use your strengths and spend more time in your values so you have more flow in life. Finally, meaning and purpose. This defines the meaningful life. The meaningful life is about using your strengths in the service of something bigger than yourself. So right now you're probably thinking, oh great, this sounds awesome, but how do I find these key ingredients? Positive psychology suggests that happiness is more than obtainable. It's the natural result of building up our well-being and satisfaction in life. So according to positive psychology, these 5 elements are essential to human well-being: positive emotions, engagement, positive relationships, meaning, and accomplishment, or PERMA for short. Together, these form the solid foundation upon which we can build a happy and flourishing life. Practicing these can help you live your best life. So let's take some time and take a look at each of these. Let's start with positive emotion. What makes us feel good? This might be different for you and me. Spending time with loved ones, exercising, getting out in nature, eating great food, engaging in hobbies we enjoy. Think of things that you really like to do that make you happy. Positive emotions have an impact that goes far beyond just bringing a smile to our face. Feeling good boosts our physical health. It strengthens our relationships. It inspires us to be creative, and it helps us look to the future with optimism and hope. We all experience highs and lows in life, but we do ourselves harm when we dwell on the lows. If we look back on the past with pain and regret, we will become depressed. If we think of the future and worry about danger and risk, we'll become anxious and even pessimistic. It is incredibly important to recognize the positive emotions we feel so we can enjoy the present without worry or regret. If we learn to cultivate positive feelings about life, we begin to hope for the best, see the upside, and learn to take great opportunities as they come along. Engagement can also be described as a state of flow. It involves focusing on the present, being mindful. You may have heard the term mindfulness. It's kind of a buzzword these days. But ultimately, we don't thrive when we're doing nothing. In that case, we get bored and we feel useless. When we are engaged with our life and our work, we become absorbed. We gain momentum and focus, and we can enter the state of being known as flow. A good example of this is people who enjoy running. When you're lying in bed, sometimes it's hard to convince yourself to throw off the covers, get up, put on your sneakers. It's cold. However, while you're running, you don't question anything. You're absorbed entirely in the present moment. Maybe you don't run. I know I don't. But you might feel this way when you're painting, playing music, dancing, or cooking. If you love your job, you may feel this way at work. We are most likely to fulfill our own unique potential when we are engaged in activities that absorb and inspire us. The R in PERMA stands for relationships. This involves not only building and maintaining relationships with others, but also recognizing the difference between healthy and unhealthy or damaging relationships. Human beings are social animals. We all have a need for connection, love, physical and emotional contact with others. We can enhance our own well-being by building strong networks of relationships around us with family members, friends, coworkers, neighbors, and other people in our lives. When you belong to a community, you have a network of support around you, and you are part of it. It is not enough just to round ourselves with, quote, friends, but we must also listen, share, make an effort to maintain our connections, and work to make those connections strong. We'll talk more about relationships in week 5. The M in PERMA stands for meaning. This has to do with what we value most in the world, and we can find meaning in not only our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. We are at our best when we dedicate our time to something greater than ourselves. This could be religious faith, community work, our family, a charity, a political cause, or a creative or professional goal. Studies have shown that people who belong to a community and pursue shared goals are happier than those who don't. It is also very important to feel that the work we do is consistent with our personal values and beliefs. From day to day, if we believe our work is worthwhile, we feel a general sense of well-being and confidence that we are using our time and abilities for good. And finally, accomplishment, or the A of PERMA. This involves creating and working towards tangible goals. This will help us build hope for the future. We've all been taught that winning isn't everything. However, let's be honest, people need to win sometimes. What use are goals and ambitions if we never achieve them? To achieve well-being and happiness, we must look back on our lives with a sense of accomplishment. Success doesn't always come easy, but if we stay positive and we stay focused, we don't give up when adversity strikes. So I know some of you out there are saying, this has been really interesting. Now, how do I apply this to my own life? Well, good news. You've already started simply by watching this video. Never stop learning. There are plenty of websites, books, and other sources of information out there about positive psychology. I'll provide a short list of some of this at the end of this slideshow. Also, practice mindfulness and remember what's important to you. Be intentional. Make it a point to do things to increase your PERMA. Finally, start small. Make small positive changes and turn them into habits, baby steps as we sometimes refer to them. Here are 3 ways that you can start right away to add the principles of positive psychology to your life. First, start a gratitude journal. Some people do this first thing in the morning with their morning cup of coffee. Some folks do it in the evening, right before they go to bed. But the intent is to write down something every day that you're grateful for, or something that made you happy throughout the day. Second, use positive affirmations. There's lots of different ways that you can incorporate this into your life. Some people put sticky notes around their mirror when they're getting ready in the morning to remind themselves that they are smart and good and deserve great things in the world. You could also do this in journal fashion by writing things down every day to remind yourself that you deserve to be happy. Finally, find your passion. What is it that keeps you going every day? What is important to you? How do you achieve that state of flow that we spoke about earlier? When are you in that state? Think about that and incorporate it into your daily life. I want to leave you with an inspirational message from Mahatma Gandhi. We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. So go out there and be the change that you want to see in the world. If you're interested in learning more about positive psychology, here are a few books that all talk about the principles of positive psychology. 3 of them were written by Dr. Seligman. The first is called Authentic Happiness, Using the New Positive Psychology to Realize Your Potential for Lasting Fulfillment. Flourish, also written by Dr. Seligman, A Visionary New Understanding of Happiness and Well-Being. And finally, Learned Optimism, How to Change Your Mind and Your Life. Another book called Finding Flow, The Psychology of Engagement with Everyday Life was written by one of Dr. Seligman's very close colleagues, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And finally, Angela Duckworth wrote a great book called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Here are some other resources you can visit if you'd like to learn more about positive psychology and how to apply these concepts to your daily life. There's a few websites and TED Talks out there that are very informative, including one by Dr. Martin Seligman himself. I would like to thank each of you for joining us today in learning more about positive psychology. I hope you will join us for next week's topic, Nutrition Deep Dive. Thank you for participating in the Lifestyle Medicine Master Series.